Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Dr Boyce Watkins, and I want to welcome you to drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. And I wanted to come in for a second and spend a few minutes. I'm going through some analysis, some stock option analysis, getting ready for the masterclass tomorrow. If you want to join us in the stock options masterclass, feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. And I decided to take a little break to address a question I saw on my Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And someone asked me about Nick Cannon, and you guys know I had some commentary about Nick Cannon earlier in terms of that apology that he made. I wasn't real sure. I wasn't real sure how to feel about the apology. It kind of bothered me. In fact, I just hated it. And I wanted, and just out of fairness to Nick, because I do like Nick Cannon. I want to make it clear. I like Nick. I respect the guy. I think he's very smart. He's smarter than most of the celebrity types that I bump into. I wanted to be fair and follow up on this. Somebody asked me what I thought about his interview that he did with a rabbi. He interviewed a rabbi by the name of Abraham something. Let me see if I got his name here. Abraham Cooper. So Nick brought a rabbi, Abraham Cooper, onto Cannon's class, which is his YouTube channel. And so he and Rabbi Cooper had a conversation about the controversy in terms of what happened. If you recall, Nick did an interview with Professor Griff that upset a lot of people, and they were threatening to cancel him and all this other stuff. And next thing you know, he came out with an apology. And I'll tell you, I get real disappointed, when I see Black men have to apologize. I think I'm like Master P. Master P said, you got to stand on it, stand on what you said. Even if you said something wrong, maybe you fix it somehow if you have to. But I think apologizing in that context, particularly if you're apologizing when you didn't really do anything wrong, that is a sign of weakness. And I'm tired of Black men being weak. We're not little boys. We need to be grown-ass men. And Vicky Dillard also talked about it tonight. Vicky's in the Nation of Islam, and Vicky's a smart lady. She talked about it on FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com. I encourage you to go check that out also. So let me just, I don't know anything about Rabbi Cooper. Vicky knows a lot more about him than I do. So I'm not going to address Rabbi Cooper. What I am going to address is what I saw in this video. I can only address what I saw. And I can address what I know, and I'll speak from it from that perspective. Now, a few points that I noticed is, it seemed like Nick was trying to build a bridge. There's different types of leadership, and I identified Nick as what you might call a bridge builder, like a Barack Obama type. Barack Obama wanted to bring white people and Black people together. I'm not a bridge builder. I'm more of a mobilizer. A mobilizer meaning I don't really want to talk to white people that much. I want to talk to Black people. No disrespect to white people, Asian people, anybody else. I talk to my people to get my people ready to go talk to other people. Whereas, and I would almost put Minister Farrakhan in that category as well. Whereas Nick is a little bit of a bridge builder, which we need bridge builders too. You need your Obamas and stuff like that. And it seems like he's really trying to bring the Black and Jewish communities together. And I can respect that. I think that the problem, though, that he's going to have is that I don't know if he underestimates the amount of hatred and disrespect that we receive from that community. I don't know if he underestimates the fact that these people won't sit down with Farrakhan. They, people like that, they won't debate with Farrakhan. They won't even consider why so many Black people love Farrakhan. And that right there becomes pretty offensive, and so the guy was, this rabbi was speaking, about how he hates evil. And he starts talking about Farrakhan and Hitler in the same sentence. He's talking about Hitler in one hand, then he's mentioning the minister in another, almost like the minister is a continuation of what happened in Nazi Germany. Maybe that wasn't his intention, but that's what I was picking up as I was listening to the interview. I said, okay, so you're talking about you hate evil, and then you start talking about Hitler right after you're talking about the minister, and then you go back to the minister after you finish talking about Hitler. That's a problem to me, because I'm going to ask you a question. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Have you ever heard the Minister Farrakhan ever tell people to go out and kill somebody because of their religion. Have you ever seen this? Tell me, give me a yes or no. How many times has anybody ever seen Minister Farrakhan go out and speak to black people and say, if you see somebody in this particular religion, kill them. If you see somebody in this particular race, stab them in the eye, kill them, put them in the oven, shoot them down. Have you ever heard the minister say anything like that? Have you ever heard the minister ever condone any form of violence toward anybody for any reason? No. And I think that that's the distinction you have to make, because he has never, ever condoned violence against any community. He just had a perspective that may not be one that you agree with. And so I think that it's very important. Like, I think that when you start a conversation where you're trying to compare the Minister Farrakhan to Hitler, who did execute his vision, who killed millions of people, that right there tells me that you and I are on different planets. We ain't on the same planet. You can't compare those two. Those are not the same entity. So I think that this idea that you're going to take a man who's never condoned violence toward anybody and compare him to one of the most notorious killers in all of human history, that right there is a form of white supremacy, in the sense that you're trying to distort the conversation. You're distorted the conversation by basically claiming yourself to be a victim of someone who has never victimized you, right? You're starting off as a victim. You're doing a Karen. You're doing a broad version of what Karens do. Karens are the perpetrators who pretend to be the victim. She throws a temper tantrum in the mall because they didn't put marshmallows on her smoothie, and she thinks that she's the victim, when really everybody's looking at her like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why are you screaming and hollering and cussing people out and going crazy? And she's like, because you victimized me. A black man hurt me. Right? Well, you're faking it. You need to stop. You really need to stop right now. So that's where they need to stop the whole discussion. I mean, look, I sat with Farrakhan many hours at a time. This man, I've never seen him do anything violent toward anybody. If he ever said, hey, boy, Dr. Boyce, if you see any white folks when you walk out the door, make sure you take them out, make sure you kill them. He ain't never said nothing like that to me. I ain't never seen nothing like that. I went and talked to him. I'll tell you a little secret. I went to meet with him after Yvette Carnell did a really nasty, very, very disturbing video about him. I mean, really attacked him in a way that was incredibly unfair. And at that time, I didn't know that she was doing all of this. And I didn't, and when I saw it, I said, man, I support freedom of speech. But gosh, did you have to be so harsh on this man? And I went to meet with him, and believe it or not, he literally said he did not say one negative word about her. And I was stunned, because even I had said something negative at that point. Even I was like, I don't want you using my YouTube channel anymore, right? And even he was like, he said, no, encourage her to speak. He said, encourage her to speak. And so right there, that tells me that Farrakhan has more decency than a lot of his enemies, because his enemies don't encourage you to speak. His enemies don't want you to have freedom of speech. They want to silence you. They don't want to hear other ideas. They want to kill your ideas. So here I meet with the minister talking about somebody who really would probably not even care if he was done and gone off the face of the earth. And he's encouraging me to tell this lady to keep speaking. And then you deal with the other side, where they're like, they don't even want to hear from Farrakhan at all. They've tried to blackball him from media for 30 years. So who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? So that's a real problem right there. You're not behaving in a decent fashion. You're not starting the game from a fair perspective. And I think Nick needs to understand that it's not the nastiness and the hatred is not coming from that side. It's coming from the other side, but they're reshaping the conversation to make themselves appear to be the victim when really they're the perpetrators. And why does that, let's double down on that point. Let's dig deeper into that point. Look at what, if you're talking about that community, right? And Nick touched on this. Props out to Nick on this. Nick mentioned this. He said people were telling him, well, we don't want to perpetuate the stereotype that we have all the power and that we can just cancel people. And then they're like, yeah, but if you don't apologize, we're going to cancel your ass, right? So he was like, so wait a minute, you're trying to keep me, you're telling me you don't want me to perpetuate the stereotype that you cancel people, but then you cancel me. Like, that don't make any sense, right? Like, don't be telling nobody I'm a murderer, right? Like, and now I stab you in the stomach, right? Don't you be telling people that I kill people, right? Come on, man. Like, it's stupid. It's dumb. Even a third grader can see the hypocrisy that's happening there. It makes no sense. It's not logical. And because I think at the end of the day, and I heard the Rabbi Cooper, smart guy, he's a very smart guy, but he's delusional like some of these other folks out here. you know, he's talking about, you know, I don't support music that has hate in it, right? Because he's talking about how he took on Sony Music for hatred toward his own people and all that. So wait a minute. So you tell, okay, let's break it down right quick. You don't support music with that has hate in it. Okay. If you go to the music industry, you're gonna find a whole lot of people from a specific community that shall remain nameless, because I'm not trying to make this into a nasty conversation. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, when I talk to my rapper friends, most of them had managers and agents that were from a certain community because they're just good at the entertainment. They're good at business. Let's give them props on that. Who is the one, who are the executives that are funding and financing for the last 25 years hip hop music that has referred to black women as bitches and hoes in every other sentence? That's hate speech, by the way. That has featured rappers who brag about how many black men they murdered. I remember hearing in a song, a T.I. song. I like my beat down low, and I heard the guy say something like, "I wasn't in the movie, but I shot 4 brothers." Right? Like guys brag. Like, you got rappers, you're financing rappers bragging about murdering black people. Who finances the industry that has music that encourages black people to be ignorant and to get high on drugs, right? To not take care of their children, to not be responsible human beings, to remain as stupid as possible, to give all their money away, destroy their wealth, to degrade themselves in every way possible. Who finances the music that uses the N-word more than any other genre of music in the history of all mankind? Who finances that? Who are the people behind that? Are there no people from Rabbi Cooper's community who are running the music industry? Have you ever sat down and talked to your friends who are paying money to dumb motherfuckers from the hood who will do anything for a Scooby snack and then putting them out there and saying, go, you know, we want you to make music where you're glorifying and celebrating the genocide of black people? You're glorifying illegal behavior amongst black men that led to the largest mass incarceration holocaust that we've ever seen, that are going to get these young brothers sent to prison, shot up at their grandma's house, get little kids shot up in the hood. Like, really, I mean, for real, like, if you really, you know, if you're really against hate in music, why do you find this? And I'm not going to talk about what you're doing with Hollywood, because we know about the imagery of black people in Hollywood. So get out of here with that nonsense. You sound hypocritical right now, you know. And so you know, I watched him talk to Nick, and I like the fact that Nick was trying to have this dialogue. It was an intelligent conversation. Nick held his own. I give him props on that. The rabbi, he was, you know, he had his point of view, and that's fine. I'm into freedom of speech. Unlike them, I believe in freedom of speech, so I'm okay with him speaking and sharing a perspective. They're not okay with people like me speaking. That's why they blackball people like me or Professor Griff or others from Hollywood. But it's okay. I don't want to go to Hollywood, so don't call me. But at the same time, you know, and you're trying to blackball Nick because he got off code. He broke your rule. You wanted him as your slave, and he did not perform accordingly, so therefore you wanted him out of there. So Nick, unfortunately, I think is overestimating his relevance in this cosmic conversation. I think Nick is overstating his role. Like, he really thinks that he gets invited to the house for dinner and that he's there to eat, when really, nigga, you ain't invited to the house to eat. You're invited because you are the dinner. Right? You know, no disrespect to Nick. Nick is a good guy. I like Nick. He's very intelligent. But Nick, I think, is seeing himself as this grand facilitator that can bring together two communities that really right now, based on the behavior from certain people, certain leading forces in that space, these communities are not going to come together because black people are tired of being slaves. Black people are tired of being disrespected. We're tired of your damn music industry. We're tired of all the shit that you're doing when you're blackballing people for nothing, when you're mistreating black folks out in Hollywood and everywhere else, when you're sprinkling ideologies and agendas onto the black community that black people don't want to see. So I think Nick, you know, I think that Nick was naive in this conversation. I really do. I think he's naive because if he were to call Minister Farrakhan and said, you know what, Minister, Rabbi Cooper would like to sit down with you and have a public debate with you right now. And he's also, just to have backup, he's going to bring Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz, and Alan Dershowitz and Rabbi Cooper are going to tag team and debate you together. Minister Farrakhan, at the age of 87, would chop them both up into little tiny pieces and destroy their asses in front of the world. At 87 years old, he could do that. So Farrakhan, and he would show up. He would show up next week if he asked him to, but go ask them to sit down with Farrakhan. You're not going to get that conversation. Well, why won't you sit down with Farrakhan? Is it because you're afraid that he's going to try to harm you? He's never harmed anybody from your community before. Why would you think that? Well, we won't sit down with him because he's full of hate, and he's not a hateful person. He has an opinion, but I've never seen him condone violence or express hatred toward another group of people. So the reason that you won't sit down with Farrakhan is because you feel that he's beneath you. You want Black people as your little soldiers, your little slaves, where you can tell us what to do and control us. And we're resisting that. And therefore you are flipping it. You're doing a cosmic Karen. You're doing a Karen and flipping yourself into the victim, when really right now, from where I'm standing, you look like the perpetrators. Because there's nothing, again, if Nick were to say, okay, Mr. Farrakhan, will you sit down with Rabbi Cooper? Farrakhan would say, absolutely, my brother. I will be glad to sit down with him. And, and then if he turns to that side and says, will you sit down with him? They're like, we ain't sitting down with that Negro. We won't talk to him. Right? So that's white supremacy 101. That's what it is. They talk a lot about white supremacy as if they were both victims of white supremacy, and that's not true. Nick was talking to a white supremacist. That was his problem, right? So let me keep going. Let me finish this up. I remember the guy, the rabbi was talking about Martin Luther King, which is what white people tend to do when they are trying to get Black people to like stand down and just sit around and be abused. No disrespect to John Lewis, RIP John Lewis, but I'm sorry, John Lewis was celebrated because he sat there and let people beat his ass for nothing. Now, I'm not trying to say that he's a bad guy. He did the best he could with what he knew at that time, but I'm not the Negro that's going to let you beat me upside the head with a billy club and make me bleed to an inch of my life, and then brag about the fact that you didn't kill me, that I did not die. No, you hit me with a billy club, I might come back with a gun. Right? You hit me, I'm going to have to respond, because that's what normal human beings do. It takes a full-time slave for you to really think that you're supposed to let somebody just beat you in front of your damn children, in front of your woman, in front of your community, and then you just sit there like a bitch. I'm sorry, that's not what a man does. And so at the end of the day, they always bring up the MLK stuff, but they always bring up the soft little marshmallowy, moist little version of MLK, the one that's digestible for white people. They don't bring up what Martin Luther King was becoming. I believe that if MLK, I'm a little bit older than Martin Luther King was when he died. I believe that if MLK had lived, I believe that, or if he were whatever age he was when he died, I can't remember. I think he was about 38. I'm a little bit older than that. I believe that if I were talking to him, I would be able to, and he were listening to us right now, we would be able to mentor him into the man that he's supposed to become. Because I see a lot of other guys like that. They start off with that whole kumbaya, we shall overcome, integration, vote for the Democrats. We have these allies. They start there, and then the allies shit on them repeatedly. They just get shit on and shat on and shat on. And then eventually they're like, okay, Dr. Boyce, I'm listening to you now because I'm tired of being mistreated. I'm tired of being disrespected. I'm tired of being used and abused. So I believe Martin Luther King would have been in that camp. He would be listening right now and growing into the man that I believe he was going to become, which is the man that they don't want to see. So stop bringing up Martin Luther King, because at the end of the day, the man that Dr. King was going to become, I believe, was similar to the Negroes that you wanted to see dead. In fact, you're probably glad that he's dead too. So the other thing is I thought Nick did a good job, in terms of challenging the rabbi. I like the fact that he defended Public Enemy. I think Nick is doing a really good job in terms of trying to bring people together. The apology was off base. He shouldn't have did all that. But then again, I've never had to walk away from $50 million or whatever they pay people out there. I like one thing that the rabbi said that I do agree with, that I think Black people should pay attention to, is he talked about seeing yourself as a victim. I would encourage Black people to consider that. I don't think you win in a competitive game when you see yourself as a victim by default. I'm not into victimhood. I'm not into sitting around talking all day about what people are doing to us. I'd rather talk about what we're doing in response to that. I'd rather talk about our plans, our goals, how we're going to build. I personally have learned from being engaged to a therapist that you are traumatizing yourself repeatedly when you constantly obsess yourself with what other people are doing to you. But it took me time to get to that point to understand that. I'm just telling you OG style or in Uncle Boyce mode that you want to get rid of that. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. See yourself as a person that of power. See yourself as a person who, at the very least, even if you don't win, you can always fight back. You can always stand up. You can always make them bleed. You can always do what you got to do. You can always hustle. You can always try. You can always keep moving forward. Do that. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. Don't freeze up in victim mode and let other people dominate you. You'll never win that way because your enemy is not a nice person. Your enemy is to some extent somewhat savage when they see weakness. They can smell blood in the water. They smell your weakness. When you glorify them, when you engage in white supremacy by constantly sitting around, constantly talking about what white people did to you, then guess what? They see that and they don't feel sorry for you. They don't want to help you. They don't want to partner with you. They want to crush you. So at the end of the day, you might hurt me. You might make me bleed. You might have me in severe pain, but you ain't going to know it. You're going to sit back worrying about what I might do to you. I'm not going to be sitting around talking about and bragging to the world about what you did to me. That's not what you're supposed to do as a strong community. So the rabbi made that point actually, and I'm going to give the rabbi props on that point. I think you need to learn from your enemies. And that's one thing that I learned, or that I already knew it. I'm just sharing that with y'all. All right. So the next thing he mentioned, I took some notes here. Let me see. Yeah, so that was it. There's no more here that I have to say. I'm going to say that I like the interview. I think it's great. I don't think it's going to accomplish anything. Like what's the goal, right? What is the goal? I like the fact that Nick at least tried to make sure the conversation wasn't just about Farrakhan, because that's kind of what the rabbi was doing. He kept going back to Farrakhan and then making these subtle connections between Farrakhan and Hitler, and then speaking on, Farrakhan's relationship with Gaddafi and all that, which I think was a productive relationship. I think that's a good thing. And sort of framing him as this person who hates America and all this other crap. And my feeling is that if you're really trying to have a productive conversation, just leave all that out. Leave all that out. Like we don't like half the shit y'all do. Y'all don't like half the shit that we do. So part of coming together, if that's what you're trying to do, means accepting people for who they are, right? Black folks love Farrakhan and they love the Nation of Islam. And I believe that we love the Nation of Islam. Many of us do. For one specific reason. It's not because we want to join. It's not because you want to be a Muslim. I personally love the Nation of Islam because they represent a type of unconditional loving structure that we've lost with many of our families. They represent a type of dignity that we don't really have when we run around here acting like former slaves. They represent a vision for what the whole community can be in terms of thinking about building for self, doing for self, having strong families, raising intelligent children. I've spoken several times at the Muhammad University of Islam, and every time I go, I am so impressed and excited about how smart those children are. Those children are 12 years old and they sound like college students. They were asking me questions that graduate students ask me, and I just thought, I said, man, this is the future of Black people. This is the future of our community, and that's why I love the nation and I love the minister. I hear everything. I know about all this controversy with Malcolm X and everything else, and I'm very sad that even took place. But that does not mean that I can't salvage the greatness that comes from the Nation of Islam and from the minister and really hold on to that like for dear life. We got to hold on to that for dear life, and the reason is because you don't have that anywhere else. You don't have that anywhere else in your community. Most of us walk around like some damn blind people needing seeing eye dogs because we don't even know what a family looks like. We don't even know what empowerment looks like. We don't know what Black culture really is supposed to look like because we got white people, white supremacists that control media telling us what your culture is. So you got Negroes out here that'll watch a fucking episode of Blackish and really think that that's Black culture. That ain't Black culture. Black AF on Netflix, that new show, Black AF. That ain't Black culture. That's some stripper culture. That's like some rap culture. That's some thug culture or whatever, but that ain't Black culture. You got to find out who you are. And the Nation of Islam to me is beautiful because they're like this rock that says, no matter what everybody else is saying, this is a piece of who you are. This is a vision of what you're supposed to be. And I love that vision, and I'm not letting that go for nobody. So if you want me to sit down at the table with you and respect your community, I can do that, right? I have my students in the Black Business School read How the Jews Invented Hollywood. And I have them read that book because it shows how you build an industry and how you can overcome oppression by empowering your community with things like education and economics and industry, right? Like I love that book because it breaks it all down in detail. I'm like, okay, this is how they did it. So I can sit down with that community or any other community and really have an honestly authentic, meaningful, relevant understanding and respect and whatever you want to call it. And even some forgiveness for certain things that I don't like. But I don't think they can do that with us. I think that what they're defining as integration and cooperation is actually a form of domination and imperialization. They're saying, we'll sit down with you if you do what the fuck we say. And to that, I say, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, because you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to tell me how I'm allowed to behave. You're not going to tell me who my friends can be. And you sure as hell ain't never going to get me to abandon the Nation of Islam and Louis Farrakhan. That ain't happening. I'm sorry, that ain't happening. So that's my 2 cents. I'm out, guys. I hope that this helps. Somebody asked me to give my perspective on this video. I felt like I should do that. So that's what I've given. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you guys on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And also don't forget, we are building a Black-owned movie industry to counter the other industry. And it's really going really well. Our films are being seen by hundreds of thousands of people. We make films, but also we support Black filmmakers with Black Movie Night. So I hope that you'll join us for Black Movie Night. Black Movie Night happens on the 23rd at 8 p.m. Thursday. And it's totally free. And you can register at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. We're going to watch Black Friday, the remix. Rick Mathis made that film. I'm in the film. Les Brown's in the film. Chuck D's in the film. David Banner's in the film. And a lot of other great people. And I think even Ice-T's in the film. Like a lot of really interesting people. And it's all about Black wealth and Black legacy. And it's totally free. So feel free to come check it out. Register now at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. It's Thursday, July 23rd at 8 p.m. blackmovienight.net. Make sure you get there early because it fills up really fast, but you're going to love it. We always have fun, and we're building our own. We're building our own. We're doing it, but I need your help. I don't want you to just watch and say good job. I don't want you to just watch and clap. I need you to show up. Like, just do something. Just show up. Like, you ain't got to pay money. Just pay attention. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good day. Love you, and I shall see you soon. Be good.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV. Here we are.